So, got some receipts I want to review with y'all. I'm going to send some invites out. Let some people get in here. If y'all up to it, I'd like for y'all to share. Okay. So I'm right now. The title of this one is "We Still Here." After all of the shenanigans, all of the false titles and names they gave us, all of the of foreign entities on the land, and the raping and pillaging of our villages and our children and our sisters, we still here. Baby kids. And the harder they try to oppress us, we just keep getting stronger, more of us, stronger than we was the last time, every time. So I was going through some of my memories in my Facebook, and a video popped up that I shared. But I'm gonna play the video. It's 2 minutes long, and then it's another one after this.
Some chose to join the ranks of modern society. Others believed that assimilation could only lead to ruin.
By then, there were people who knew the game, had long since become familiar with the game that was being played. The Narragansett families who wished to remain traditionally as their ancestors had been, made sure there was the teaching. Go out there and learn all that you can from these people. But never forget who you are. Never forget you have your own language, your own religion, your own way of acceptance.
In Rhode Island, some citizens who did not own property had to wait until 1928 before they were granted voting rights. But 3 groups were still officially barred by state law from casting a ballot: paupers, the mentally incompetent, and Indians. The only way the Narragansetts could participate in elections was by identifying themselves as African Americans. Charles Ernest Hazard confronted officials who enforced this practice. His brother, Joseph, one of the oldest members of the Narragansett Nation, recalls the moment.
Indians couldn't vote, so he went up to the State House, and he says, he saw in the charter that the Indians can't vote. And he says, you vote, ain't you? And he says, no. He says, I consider myself a Narragansett Indian. If I vote, I'm voting under Negroes could vote, but not an Indian. And he said, I consider myself a Narragansett, not a black, so I'd like to have that changed. So that.
Aren't you glad you're dead?
Okay, so we see from that video how the Indians were the ones who wasn't allowed to vote. Now remember, Martin Luther King come around, one of the grievances in the civil rights movement was the right to vote. Sound familiar? He said the only way he could vote, he had to be classified as a Negro. And we wasn't Negroes before them. Before 1492, we wasn't Negroes. We wasn't blacks and we wasn't Moors before 1492. There is no scholar on the planet that can find where we was called M-O-O-R Moor before 1492. I don't give a fuck who he is, because that's what you call a catch term in linguistics deception, right? That shit didn't have nothing to do with us, right? And there was another video. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so that must have got knocked out. But somebody sent me after I did Abraham Lincoln, not Abraham Lincoln, George Washington was black. He was part of the Continental Congress, and then they replaced him with by shaving the beard off of Albert Pike, Morals and Dogma, Scottish Rite, 32 Degrees, the winged serpent, the two-headed buzzard. So when they did that, we don't think to go back to the books that was written in the time of George Washington or shortly thereafter. We following the narrative they gave us in our history books. Check this out.
A very blessed day, everyone. Elohim, God in our modern day name, which warns us that the wicked is going to change the image. And by the end of this message, you'll know who the wickeds are that changed the image of George Washington to be something that it's not. George Washington, let's find out some history about him. Born 1732, died 1799. He's the first president of the United States of America. His presidency ran from 1789 to 1797. He was a military man. He was big in the military. He was a colonel of the Virginia militia from 1752 to 1758. He was also the commander-in-chief, the general and commander-in-chief of the Continental Army of America, 1775 to 1783. His army is the army that won the independence from Britain for America. So every time you celebrate the 4th of July, you're celebrating the victory that George Washington won for the United States of America, freeing it from the British and forming...
Now, the only thing that he got wrong at this point is that he's saying that George Washington won the war against the British in 1776. The Civil War is what he's talking about. But the reality of it is the war was the Continental Congress of the Southern State Confederacy versus the Union Army of the Unified Virginia Company, the Unified Almanac, which is a Scottish Rite company owned under the Crown of England that's classified in modern definition as Morocco. It's also that that this was not George Washington that he's speaking of that supposed to win the war against. If you go back and look, the Continental Congress was the established South and the British Army was the North. And they tell us that in the war between the North and the South, the British won. So then how is he the first president if he defeated the British? So this is not matching up with the school book narrative that they gave us. But we're going to listen to some more, and I'm going to let him give you about 3 book references, and then we're going to discuss some of it and probably take some callers in on this information.
A own country on this continent of America, North America to be exact. He was also Lieutenant General in Chief of the United States Army, 1798 to 1799. So he spent a lot of time in the military, and he spent some of his time being the President of the United States of America, the first official one. You keep hearing me say official because there were other presidents before him, the congressional presidents, but we won't get into that. George Washington, he was born in Virginia. He was a career military man.
Now, right there, he said George Washington was born in Virginia and he was a career military man. This the Albert Pike narrative because George Washington, as we know, was born in Barbados. He was a Caribbean Indian, or as they call Washita, from the island of Barbados. But they list in the overlay. This is what they call in this in secrets in CIA. It's called a cutout. That means they got to give you a backstory, then they got to give you a story, and then they got to push the narrative based on the backstory and the story. So let's listen some more.
Moving from the rank of colonel of the Virginia militia to lieutenant general in the chief of the Army of the United States of America. He was commander-in-chief.
Okay, so now he say he moved from the Virginia garrisons to the United States Army. This is the switch. Because we know that Virginia was classified as the southern state because it was south of the Mason-Dixon line. So we see in the switch, he's explaining the switch.
The time of the American Revolution, April 1775 to September 1783. He was the first official president of the United States of America, 1789. He was married to Martha Custis Dandridge, a widower. He married her after her.
Okay, now he said that he was the president in 1789, right? The Continental Congress had established a 8-year, 13-year interim presidency from 1776 to from 1776 to 1788, I think, or 86. It was like 12 years, and that's when the Constitution was switched out for the one that was written in the blood of Crispus Attucks, because we didn't write our Constitution because the chiefs knew the Constitution, because it's part of your development into the higher rankings on the land, that you begin to know inalienable rights before God, what man can and cannot do according to the laws of Mott. So let's go on some more.
Husband passed away. This was George Washington in a nutshell, the summary of him. Also, Martha Custis Washington, whom he married, had children from her previous marriage, whom George adopted as his own children. He loved them as his own. He did not have any children of his own. One of Martha's child, her name was Martha Patsy Custis, was nicknamed the Dark Lady, just to get...
Okay, so he said that George Washington married a lady, and she had a daughter, and her middle name is Patsy. Now we're talking about chopping down the cherry tree, because the cherry is the symbol. It's the symbol of a Midwestern fruit tree, and the cherry comes normally. They grows two to a stem, so two stems shoot out from a bud, so they twins. And the seeds are called pits. This is the Pittman clan that he's talking about. The Pittmans, if you fucking around with the Pittmans, they deep. Anywhere you find Pittmans, they deep. They families are always huge. Here in Pontiac, the Pittman family on Prospect. If you take this bullshit over there around Grandma Pittman, they will tear your ass up like a pack of ravenous hyenas. But if you go over there in peace, they gonna have the biggest party you ever seen, because that's how they roll. Don't bring no bullshit, they won't take none. Now, they got a lot of Pittmans here in Pontiac. But I'm also related to some Pittmans through my Aunt Helen. And her son, Eric, who's in Minnesota, is the chief. He is the scout chief of the Pittman clan. And he is the one who introduced me to a lot of what we call in the Disciple Nation board members. He introduced me to Ferg. He introduced me to some BG board members. He introduced me to some GD board members. Then my other cousin, Craig, he was a affirming, and he was a cardinal by rank, but he was Blue Lodge. So Craig introduced me to Cole Black, who was the governor, and he introduced me to Shorty Bible in Chicago at the Southern Girl Lounge on 39th Street. And we went down there because he said that the chief needed me to meet somebody, which I thought he was crazy at the time, that none of this shit didn't make sense to me. Now I see this shit clearly for what it is. I can tell y'all. But anyway, so this is where the so-called chopping down the cherry tree comes from. Now we talking about Michigan, Battle Creek area, down into Detroit, the Straits of Detroit. The French garrisons fought Chief Pontiac and got their ass handed to them. We remember. Most of the shit I'm telling y'all is not from the books. This is what I remember, genetic memory. But I needed the books to give y'all the reference. So let's see, when he go into the books, let's see what he come up with, because he starts to show you that not only was George Washington not a pale skin, but he was also melanated, and they called them let's listen.
Celebration, Volume 1. This is where they document all the surroundings, all the history.
That's the book he reads.
George Washington, legend of George Washington, persona of George Washington. This is the book that documents all the historical facts about George Washington. So we go to page 225 of this book. The man himself, which is George Washington. Great similarities exist also in the word and the picture penned by those who met George Washington. So we want to establish that first. Full height, 6 feet 2 inches, ruddy complexion. What is ruddy?
Now, when you hear him say that, he said George Washington was 6'2" with a ruddy complexion, right? Now, when I told y'all the usurpation was Jacob stealing the birthright from Esau, biblically speaking, it's the same story. Because the Jacobites, which is the Jacobins or Jacobins, which is the black Jews of Europe who came over here after they got exiled, these was the ones who was stealing the birthright, but they was painting pale faces on dark figures so that they could steal our history. But let's just listen.
Complexion, we'll get into that, but we'll stick a pin there. Ruddy complexion. These are people who drew him, wrote about him. They're putting it about the man himself. Ruddy, of a red color, of a bright yellow color. That is ruddy. Ruddy. We'll go on to another book. Stick a pin on Ruddy. Martha Washington, First Lady of Liberty by Helen Bryan. Page 85 of that book. Martha, with her children and her fortune, married George. She was a rich lady as well. George had his own money. They came together. George, he was tall, just like what we have read. He's 6 feet 2 inches, with a ruddy complexion. Ruddy again, keep popping up. Let's figure out what ruddy is. We said red and of a yellow color. We'll go to another book. Mary and Martha, the mother and the wife of George Washington by Benson Lossing, LLD. Page 105 of that book. Washington was 6 feet. Everyone's coming back with the same height. His complexion was florid. What is florid? I mean, they keep giving us these complexion descriptions that we have no idea what they're talking about if we're looking on the surface. You're going to have to find the meaning of words once you come across them. Florid, bright in color, flushed with red, a lively red. So we know he's of a reddish color. As he's ruddy, ruddy's telling you is red also. So ruddy red of a bright red color. That's the description for George Washington. Examples of ruddy. figure out what ruddy looks like. Ruddy red on the left, ruddy yellow, ruddy gold on the right.
Those
So
pictures are
he's
inverse.
florid and he's ruddy. He will be on the left-hand side of your screen. That's his
That's her.
complexion. Ruddy, a ruddy complexion, ruddy red.
And then
That's George Washington complexion.
ruddy gold.
But we won't stop there. Won't stop there. We'll continue.
That's just a little insight because motherfuckers think that I don't have the receipts. Well, somebody sent me that after I did the video because I wasn't reading the books. I was reading the imagery and the Masonic imagery that they had put up in order to tell y'all the story that I told y'all. It was an intuitive read on the pictures and the usurpation and knowing what happened in order for us to be able to piece this shit together. Now remember, I told y'all, the chiefs on the land had to bump the L's for the fezzes, right? Because we had to claim what they brought to subjugate us with. The rule is everything used to oppress you, take that shit over. Let that sink in. Because this is why so many of us is adamant without knowing the details of the undermining program. It's like the sister said in the first video that in order to be a part of the mainstream society that was established by the corporate jurisdiction of the interim government called the United States, which was acting in a de facto capacity, then we would have to classify ourselves as other than what we were. So that shit don't work on us no more. We see through the bullshit. So I just needed to get y'all to see a little bit of that stuff. I'm looking in the comments. I got somebody is requesting to come in. I'm gonna see who it is. Oh, there's something else I needed to go through. I'm gonna flip my camera for a second. And I was like, they not gonna know when they talking about the mark. So I wanted to point that out because when I was looking at it, I was like, they not gonna know when they talking about the multi-dimensional self of Inanna, which is, this is why all of the females who's our priestesses in the family identify as Isis. Because that's that multi-dimensional self. It's the Sybil effect. And the one who is the lead is the grand matriarch of the planet. Right? So this is very important for y'all. I want to make sure I mention that. So I'm gonna go to this question and then I'm gonna go see who is calling to come in. I'm blocked on my Facebook and my Rod Hayes Instagram. So they got me blocked on there, so I can't go live over there. But I can go live right here in Morpheus. So here we go with this. Oh shit. Hey, if y'all can hear me, push the hearts. Give me some hearts or something so I know. You can hear me? Hearts up if you hear me. 222. Okay. Got you. Y'all can hear me now, though, right? All right. I-9 returns. Let me see. Okay, well, shit. Well, I'm gonna pull somebody in. They could probably tell me the last thing y'all heard, and I can go from there. The oldest request in here.
Peace.
Peace, God. What is the last thing y'all heard me say before the sound went out?
Saw the title.
I was the book. Okay,
Yes.
so again, the book, I-9 returns, right? And what I was reading over is the multi-dimensional self, which is the Sibyls. Right, so that's the part I was reading over in the last chapter. And I was letting the sisters know when they read it, they'll know that when they read I-9 talk about her multi-dimensional self, she's talking about all of the Sibyls. Those are the high priestesses of all of the clans.
Okay.
Yep. So what's going on with you, guys? Tell the people your name and where you calling from.
My name is Devontae from Mississippi. Really happy to be on here, to be honest. It's kind of surreal, to be honest.
Man, hey, I'm just like you.
I know, but like I said, the wisdom is what I live for. You full of it, so it's just like truly a blessing, honestly.
Hold on.
But yeah, Mississippi though. My name is Devontae, and I'm from Mississippi, and I've been on this journey since
Okay.
2014.
I'm just trying to catch up with the. I'm trying to catch up with the comments. So. Okay. All right. So they in. Okay.
All right.
So what you want to talk about today? Mississippi in the house. Got that right.
Yes, sir. It's a couple things. Like I said, I've been keeping up with you for a while now. I discovered your information a few months back. So, really can't say. Like I don't know. I don't really got no question. I don't know. I really got kind of lost words to be honest. I have. But it's so much that's on my mind. Like I said, I had a spiritual awakening, I would say a premature Kundalini awakening back in 2014. And I was out here with just by myself. I didn't have nobody to get information from. So
I sure know what that's like.
Yes, sir. So it's just been it's kind of surreal feeling just to see everybody awaken and being in the dark by yourself or something. And it's just a beautiful thing, a beautiful experience. Just what a time to be alive, as I always tell people. So.
Is your big mama still around?
All my great grandmas are gone, but I have my mother's mom. She's still alive, but she's not awakened yet. But she's real into religion and Christianity. So that's where I get my basis from, just God and just righteousness in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I understand. I've been through. I've been doing this a long, lonely road shit. I wasn't gonna never say nothing, but my mama, my old lady, and my son, grandmama kicked me out the car, so don't come back till you get this shit right. So I had to come out here and get this shit right. But since I'm gonna do it, I might as well do it to death, do it to the end. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna half-ass it. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's the only way.
Sir, so yeah, they keep thinking us country boys is stupid. You know how that go.
I know.
They think because some of us talk with. See, I'm a city slicking country boy, so they really don't know how to take me because they figure I'm dumb as a country boy, but I talk like I'm from the city.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't never know when you can't get shit fixed. You always get one of them country boys to come put it together for you.
Know how to do everything. Savant.
Yeah, that's how Big Mama trainers.
It's a beautiful thing, to be honest.
She say, yeah, she say if a man gonna be useful, he gonna be useful everywhere. He ain't gonna just be useful in one place. So you got to make yourself useful wherever you go.
And I'm always willing to learn something new. That's always been my thing. Like, this just my main focus is, raising my wisdom and knowledge, and so I can help everybody around me awaken at the same time, raise my frequency. So, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah. So when Jeff speak, he got a little country twang to his vocabulary, right?
yes, sir.
They gonna realize at that point, them country boys ain't dumb as we thought they was. Cause he gonna be coming soon, right? We come accelerating on the collapse of the cabal, exposure to the public. You know, Trump mentioned it Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I did a little research. I see most 2 of the 3 kings, they from around this area, like Mississippi. I know Larry Hoover from Mississippi, and I think
Jeff Ford,
from
Angel Bay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
yeah,
found it
from Mississippi too.
Then
well, Tukey from Louisiana, but if you trace us back, we all from similar tribes. The main 3 tribes, what we call parent tribes, the oldest tribes on the land. That's why we look like this, because we always been here. And we always look like this. We have all skin complexions in our families. That's nothing new to us. So that's why the skin-based racist shit fucked us up so bad, because we had never experienced somebody using your skin complexion to keep you from getting into institutions of learning, institutions of government. You had to be the right skin complexion. That's because they was using the pale faces to block us out of the institutions. Right? So now we know what they did. So they can dispute all they want to, kick, scream. But like I say, the Moors got to understand one thing. The chiefs had to bump the Moors for their fezzes, and the Moors had to bump the chiefs for their feathers. And the ones who was able to bump feathers and fezzes is called El Bay or Bay El. But whichever one is the first is the one that they went through first in order to establish their position, the rank, in order to bump the other one. So if they are Bay El, they got feathers over fezzes. If they El Bay, they got fezzes that have feathers protruding from beneath them. Right? So that's the difference. So the trick was, we was Amaru or Amur, A-M-U-U-R. They came over, they were Moray, Moreno, Morisco, like that. But all of those terms in modern English is translated as Moor, M-O-O-R. But none of us over here, there's nowhere in no book over here where we was called Moor, M-O-O-R, before 1492.
That makes a lot of
so
sense.
I'm still waiting on one of them to try to come up with some shenanigans to try to make us all the same. But they not, all they gonna do, they gonna find a map that one of the dirty Moors made, probably in the early 1900s, and gave to the lodge to put in the public domain to pass off as a propaganda tool. But that shit not gonna work on me, because I knew what the land's supposed to be.
That's one of their tools, remix the game. Every time some knowledge come out, they try to remix it and reword it and confuse the masses. So I'm glad.
Yeah, well, I snuck up on them and stepped on their head. They can't move now.
That's it.
Ain't that how we catch snakes down south?
So that's how we do it. Cut their head off.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to catch him, though, and you don't want to kill him, what you do? You step on his head, right?
Sure.
Grab him by the neck. Look at this course whip I got.
Like I said, just much gratitude for you having me on. Like I said, I just watch all your videos, so I appreciate you, Jay, even having me on, and I'm gonna keep listening, keep learning.
Okay, for sure. I'm gonna let you drop down. I'm gonna take another one in. I'm gonna take two more callers before I go.
Sound good. Peace and love, God.
All right, peace and love. Let the sister come in. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Rod, what's going on?
Just taking it easy.
Yeah, that's what's good.
Tell the people what's your name, where you calling from.
I am Kay. I'm calling from Newark in New Jersey. Um,
Oh, okay. That's the side of Shakur calling
y-
on this line.
yeah.
Any one of the sisters called me from New Jersey is under the jurisdiction of Asada Shakur, Black Girl Magic.
Oh, okay. Well, now I know every single time. That's a knock to a knockback. All right. Yeah, nah, I
Okay.
hear what you're talking about tonight, and as always, you're dropping knowledge. I wanted to ask about the Gutenberg Bible, but I'm asking because of the media and stuff like that, but I really wanted to know, how did we get tricked, like physically? Like I get this, I get the, and if you want to explain this, how they tricked us again, what kind of thingy is this? I'm trying to, sorry, I just want to be regular. Yeah, no. So have you heard, I know you've heard about the Gutenberg Bible, but no one seems to know what's in it.
Yeah, that's commonly called the Slave Bible. That's the one you're talking about, right?
I don't know. I've never heard of a reference like that. I was just looking up like what the printing press was, and I know about that, but that the Gutenberg Bible came up when I was looking into that. So it's called the Slave Bible.
That's the slang term for it.
Mm,
If I'm thinking the same one you thinking of.
got you. Okay. Yeah, they said that there's.
But look, they got so many Bibles. They got so many Bibles. They got one to justify every lie.
Okay.
So every time they want to lie to you over again or give you a new set of parameters for the lie, they print a new Bible, a new version.
Okay. Okay. Um.
The Bible don't got nothing to do with us over here at all. Only thing it got to do with us is it was what they gave us to make us pray with them before they killed the chiefs and stole the land.
Right. Right. And it was printed around the time, like right before Columbus would have sailed over here, actually. And they used that one. They only made like 81 copies, I believe, but the way that it was created, it was the first structured Bible technically. And they have three in the United States. One is at the Library of Congress, and I think somebody had purchased one for like 2.5 million. It was really interesting. I just couldn't find anything that said what's in the Gutenberg Bible. It just talked about all of the history about it. But yeah, I wanted to ask you too, switching back to what you was talking about as far as for Larry Hoover and all of the chiefs on the land and stuff. The PR, the public relations of the gang, I find it so interesting. Can you talk about how we've been tricked? I'm sorry, and if it's loud, my family's in from out of town, but
I love that shit.
yeah. And it was crazy. You said the other day in your live how, they all come to Big Mama house and she gonna make room. My family just popped up out of nowhere, literally, and like just all came over here. People coming, people leaving. My god sister just left. My sister and her kids. It's just crazy. So that was real funny. But the gangs are so important, and we never had. That's the only thing that they don't promote, a good side. Like, it's a good side and bad side to everything, but they never talk about who these people are and their history and Jeff Fort, what he was even locked up for. Like, it was just crazy. So
I did a whole live on that,
I
the
saw.
COINTELPRO operations in our communities, and how now you gotta remember, COINTELPRO was initiated to take the chiefs off the land.
That
Period.
So it didn't have really anything to do with the Black Power movement, or that was a part of it.
that was all a part of them pulling the cheats. When we started trying to make our move for power in the 60s, that's when they started rounding the chiefs up. Like I told you before, it was at least 400 names on the docket for Chicago alone. Right? So when you don't have leaders, the leaders they give you is going to be the only leadership you know. So they take the leaders out the community so that they can mislead the children. They can send people in to tell the children the chief wants you to kill this motherfucker. Chief didn't tell you to kill nobody. That's not how we roll. We don't just indiscriminately kill people. That's go against the law of the land.
Right.
Larry know it, Jeff know it. Right? Tookie know it. So once the law of the land is understood by the chiefs, they don't violate that shit. So when they telling you that you got an order from the chief, that's one of the infiltrators. The government infiltrated every one of the so-called gangs. When you research the word gang, it also means clan. The United States Supreme Court ruled that we were perpetual enemy combatants a long time ago, and they haven't overturned it yet. So what make us think that we not still classified as the enemy? Every time they arrest one of us, they have to issue something called a warrant. If you break it down, it's a compound word, war rant. A war rant is a declaration of war against one individual because they can't fight all of us. They got to fight one of us at a time. Divide and conquer. So they take the ones that know and they murder them. And the ones who don't know, they push them to positions of prominence so they can, out of ignorance, not out of malice, but out of ignorance alone, mislead the people. Blind leading the blind. Everybody in the ditch now.
So there's no, well, I guess the time will come. I just keep saying the time has come to Walrus. Every time I think about that, I always just say, all right, so the time is coming because everything is changing and people are feeling, a different vibe and a different energy. I'm just concerned, I guess, on the flip side of things, just people waking up and speaking out. Like now that we understand, more people are understanding the level of oppression that we're in. Like people are seeing it more and more because of their jobs. They're seeing how people were just working from home and now they want people to go back in the office. Like things are changing. Trump opened up his Truth Social and is live and active. Is there opportunity for these independent platforms to really have a voice, or is the mainstream media still too?
So they doing a EBS to weed out the mainstream media that's delivering the false news. But when they shut it down, whatever is reported by EBS that's not reported by mainstream news is going to cause that news station to lose its FCC accreditation. All of those, everything on the land we season. Period. Because all of it is ours because it's on our property.
Right.
Right. And they use it all to weaponize against us, from their sports to their entertainment. Everything was used to weaponize against us at every angle. So as long as we didn't know what they was doing, we was falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Now we know what they did, what they doing, and what they not finna do no more.
Facts.
So when I come out and I start telling it, the sisters know. They can feel what I'm talking about. They know that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm not speculating. Right? So when they feel it, they start making alliances, and you sent out the matriarchal call, and they answered. They all at your house now. You don't even remember when you did it.
That's funny you said that. You talked about Anana returns and we couldn't even hear you. And I know you was just talking about it briefly with the brother that was just on, but this collective energy that the women are feeling, It's spreading. And I wouldn't have known it really if I didn't see the opposition. Like people literally attacking, spiritually attacking, and physically and verbally. Like if I wasn't physically in that present moment and on the receiving end of it, I wouldn't have even really believed it for real.
Y'all who they fear the most. They fear me for waking y'all up. That's what they don't want me to do.
Right.
Because when y'all wake up in sufficient number, it's gonna automatically make the men pissed off, ready to fight for y'all. Like I'm watching all of these so-called woke people, and all they talking about is relationship shit.
It's so tragic. It's so tragic.
And calling everybody a narcissist who they can't get along with.
Yeah, and who they can't control and who won't cater to their every will. That shit is so fake.
Right. They don't even realize how rare it is to run into a real narcissist.
Right though, like a real live, like a real live sociopathic narcissistic person. Oh nah. Not at all. But yeah, nah. This is
believing that the relationship shit. That's it. That's all we need to talk about. Is it gonna be polygamy, monogamy? Fuck all that shit. Get me free first. Then we'll work that shit out on the other side of the free.
Facts. Right.
Right. But we so busy right now, everybody crying they want their soulmate and all that. Fuck that shit. They gonna come. When you wake up and do your self-work, just start doing your self-work, the universe gonna line up everybody in your path that you're supposed to be connecting with, because this is where we at in the process of this lifetime. This the great cleanup, the great reset. Right? So I'm listening to this Negro with the glasses on. I don't know what this nigga name is, talking all rude to the sisters all the time. And this motherfucker getting hundreds of thousands of fucking views a day, disrespecting
Kevin
people.
Samuels.
Yeah.
Yeah. That nigga's crazy.
Like, we ain't got no room for him right now. Like, some of the shit he be saying be true as hell.
But his
timing is wrong.
Right.
But his timing is wrong. Right? So if his timing is off, then it makes it look like he got malice in his intent. Makes him look like he's anti-woman. Right? But you notice all the time, the first thing he asks is you a feminist? Why do he ask the sisters that? What? Even if he get Karen on there, he asks her the same thing. Are you a feminist? Why is he asking this? Because feminism is a direct undermine to matriarchy.
Talk about it.
It's putting women in the position to do what men supposed to do, and emasculating the men, putting them on the back burner.
Right.
Right. So that's why he always asks them is if they are feminists, because once he know they're feminists, ain't no mercy coming after that. Because it's like I posted about 2 years ago, a rotten bitch make it hard for a real woman.
I heard you.
So he need to tone it down. He don't have to be so rude, but hey, that's his way of talking.
And Rod, not even to cut you off, but I don't never hear him calling out to people. People call into him. Women call in to hear him. Women we gotta raise our standards. If you want somebody to talk to you like that, that's really wild. But like you said, some of it be factual, some of it be something that you want to hear. It's definitely a wrong timing. But at the end of the day, women don't even, if you need a man to tell you the things that he's telling you, you clearly need to step it up, level it up, bring your standards up, sis. Stand up. I love when that woman say, stand up. You know what I mean? And it's not like, I've always been some stand-up type of person. I don't even like the strong black woman. Like, that shit is so corny. But it's necessary when it's necessary. When we get to be soft and feminine, then that it is what it is. When we put that and implement that, that is what it becomes. You feel me? So nah, Kevin Samuels was
Yeah, well,
right.
I know. Yeah, I know from experience that if the man doing his part, the woman gonna want to be soft and feminine, and she gonna want to get with her girls and do each other fingernails, and you know,
Mm-hmm. Look
this
all
is what
cute.
they do.
Yeah.
This is how, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but when we right now, how we are now, the women don't even want to be around each other.
Nope. 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 But it's good. We get to, we get to go into ourselves. Everybody going into themselves. Women going to yourself. Men, you going to yourself. And we figuring it we got to figure it the fuck out. So you're right. All of that relationship shit and figuring out why this person don't want to be with me and all this and the third. Yeah, nah, definitely not with the times. Not right now. But yeah,
Yeah, that's some corny shit.
word facts. But yeah, I always appreciate it. I definitely, I had some other questions relating to just one more actually. I'm reading this. The hypnopompic state. Is that like a state would you say that we're in as gods waking up to this reality, in this age of Aquarius, in this new age that we're in?
Can you spell that word so I can make sure we're on the same page?
Yes, HYPNOPOMPIC.
No, the proper term would probably be more hypnagogic.
Mm-hmm.
It's waking up from the slumber.
Okay.
So when you first wake up, you be looking around like, where the fuck am I at?
Right.
Same place you was last night.
Okay.
But because you done went so many places on your night journey, when you first wake up, you like take you a minute to settle in to where you are.
Mm.
In the hypnagogic state is when you have like coming out of the rapid eye movement. This is where you most likely to experience sleep paralysis when you waking up.
Mm. Okay. Because they said that was a flip. Okay. That's cool. Just a little questions. That's what I know I had. That was my last question. That's my absolute last question. Did you see Antebellum with Janelle Monáe in it?
Yeah, I you know what? I was gonna watch that the other day, but I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, maybe I'll just ask you the question after you watch it, because I really want to know: is that the state that we as people who they consider black or call ourselves black, whatever, indigenous, whatever, is that us over here? I want to know, like, is that what they're trying to say our mind state is when they say like slavery didn't really exist, how it happened, and it was a choice, and it's like a skit type of thing. It was very interesting. I didn't,
Yeah. So it sounds like what you are describing is classic Southern slave narrative
Mm-hmm.
that was given to us. Okay, so David Walker wrote a book called David Walker's Appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And this is supposed to be during the so-called time of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And when he wrote the book, he was asking the other chiefs on the land, right, about these people that look like us that's in bondage.
Mm-hmm.
And he got the message back is that we see them, but they ain't us.
Mm-hmm.
Stay out of it. Mind your business. Because the what we were seeing when they had people that looked like us in servitude was the blackamoors who brought indentures over here. The indentures had rebelled on plantations and took over.
Mm.
So this is why when you read about Uncle Tom and Uncle Tom's Cabin, he was the one instituting the slave rebellion. But all the time is the only reason why he stayed Uncle Tom so long in the cabin was because he was the one who was organizing the events of the plantation system. He only went to go get the Negroes out the field when he got overthrown. The Nat Turner story.
Mm.
Right? All of the ones who looked like us that didn't know that they was in bondage was told they were slaves by some pale people. And the pale people gave them the means to break free. Right? But somebody that looked like us always told.
Mm.
How the hell is it somebody that looked like us telling all the time? Because they was the slave owner that was trying to keep the bondage in perpetual motion so that they could usurp us from the land. Right? So when we put all these pieces, it's a whole lot of pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we start putting all of these pieces together, we start seeing an anomaly that is somebody over here that look like us that ain't us. And they don't give two shits about us. All they want is to replace us.
Mm.
So if they can convince us that we came on slave ships, they win. But if one of the chiefs can say, no, we didn't come on slave ships, who done it? It was the Scottish Rite Lodge, who was ran by blackamoors who used pale faces to block the doors. You couldn't get in if you wasn't one of them.
Mm.
Right? So that's how they was able to keep us from knowing what they was doing with the bloodletting rituals and the Babylonian money magic, because they was doing it in the secret of the lodges.
Mm.
While they was doing their dirt in the secret of the lodges, they was Salem witch hunting, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Salem witch hunting, the Gula Gula, trying to subjugate the women so that they could stop them from defending us with the conjure. So now they didn't disenfranchise all of the priestesses, burnt them at the stake, lynched them, murdered them. Then they come behind that and kill off all of the chiefs who was the ones who supposed to have been marrying them and running tribes. They kill them. They wasn't indiscriminately hanging us a strange fruit, as Billie Holiday would say. They was hanging the chiefs across the land at every level of chief, from a scout chief to a full feather chief. If they catch you before you know who you is, you dead meat. A perfect example is Emmett Till, aka Chief Littlehorn, but he never was able to reach his maturity as Chief Littlehorn, because he would have led the charge to set us free. And that's why it wasn't no pale people that went and got him. It was some motherfuckers that looked like us. And then they blame white mobs. But the white mob wasn't there. Right? Then they accused him of whistling at a white woman. He probably didn't whistle at nobody. Right? But whistling, we so lost in our culture that when certain stuff come to mind, the chiefs used to whistle across the land.
Mm.
They used to be able to whistle so loud you can hear them for miles away.
Mm.
Right? He could have been whistling a distress whistle.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew that if any of the other chiefs that was waking up heard that shit, they gonna respond. Little Richard was Chief Screaming Hawk.
Mm.
Right? Smokey Robinson, he is a Hyoka High Chief.
Get out of here.
Tears of a Clown, baby.
I saw a music video he made the other day, and it was some goofy ass. He was talking about gangs, and I'm just like, why the fuck would Smokey Robinson be making this fucking video? He's a Hyoka. That makes so much fucking sense, though. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sam Cooke was a High Chief, Blue Lodge.
Mm.
From the Cook clans in Mississippi.